2025 is in the books, and sports director Rob Clark takes a look back at some of the biggest local sports moments for the past year.
The Jackson County Central football team won back-to-back state titles with a perfect season. Quarterback Roman Voss also is the Minnesota Football Player of the Year after putting up some insane numbers. Over 1,900 passing yards and almost 1,900 rushing yards for the signal caller. He accounted for over 50 total touchdowns for the Huskies in 2025. Voss is a future Minnesota Gopher. Speaking of state championships, area wrestlers did well at the state competition. WEM JWP's Carson Petrie took home the Class A title at 127 pounds. Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial's Nick Slater is the champ at 189 pounds. And at 285, WEM JWP's Keegan Kubal wins his third straight championship. Over the summer, the United South Central softball team won its first ever state championship. The Rebels were making their first appearance at state and took advantage by winning the title, thanks in part to dominance from pitcher Mariah Anderson, who struck out more than 50 batters in the state tourney.
Losing sucks.
2025 marks the end of an era for the Minnesota State softball team. Head coach Lori Meyer retired after the season. Meyer held the position for 41 years and has the most career wins in Division II history. Meyer helped guide the group to a national title back in 2017. The Minnesota State men's hockey team qualified for the NCAA tournament in the 2024-2025 campaign, which is the first under head coach Luke Strand. The Mavericks fell in double overtime to the eventual national champion, Western Michigan. Also in the spring, the Janesville Waldorf Pemberton girls track and field program took home the Class A state title. In the fall, it's a first state title for the St. James area girls tennis program after the Saints won a thriller in the Class A state title matchup against Litchfield 4-3. In terms of Minnesota State athletics, the Mavericks' future state is on the horizon. The college launched the public phase of a $60 million fundraising campaign, which will transform campus with a new facility to host football and soccer games expected to open in 2029, called the Becky and Glenn Taylor Community Stadium. Part of the plan also includes renovating the track and field complex, which the college hopes to make a bid for the MSHSL Track and Field Championships. Both the soccer and football teams made appearances in the NCAA tournament for Minnesota State. The football team able to make the most of its opportunity by winning 2 games in the tourney before falling to Ferris State in the third round of action. Soccer topped Harding before falling in a shootout in the second round to Washburn. At the high school state cross country meet, St. Peter's Kira Friedrich won the state title in Class 2A. She also took home a state championship in the track and field competition after racing to a time of 4 minutes and 52 seconds in the 1,600-meter race. That's a look at some of our top sports stories from 2025. Rob Clark, KEYC News Now Sports.